Welcome back to another MOTOBOB video, and today Triumph announced a whole bunch of new vivid color updates for the 2022 Bonneville lineup. But before we get onto that, we need to talk about the names. You see, the Street Twin and the Street Scrambler are a pair of bikes particularly close to my heart, as I owned one for a good few years. But alas, both have ceased to exist, at least in name. For the Street Twin has been retitled as the Speed Twin 900 and the Street Scrambler as the Scrambler 900. But why? Well, I spoke to Miles Perkins, head of brand at Triumph, to find out. Obviously, there are a lot of people who watch my channel that own those bikes and might be sad to see the names sort of depart. So I wondered if you could share a little bit more about what's behind the name change.
Yeah, I can understand there'd be some a lot of passion involved for people who are big fans of those bikes. What was behind the thinking for the name change was to make the connection between the model families a little bit clearer, a bit easier and a bit more natural. We do a fair amount of customer conversations and feedback, and it was one of the things that would come up now and again. So I think it's easier with the new naming to see the connection between the Speed Twin 900 and the Speed Twin 1200. They're two different capacities, but bikes that sit in a very similar position, and we see customers go from one to the other. And this new naming, we think, is a little bit clearer for people coming to the brand, and also for someone who sees the connections between the two, could understand that a little bit better. And likewise with the Street Scrambler becoming the Scrambler 900, I think now the Scrambler 1200 has established such a strong place in that larger capacity capable scrambler world. What we wanted to do was help people see the connections between the 900cc and the 1200cc versions. And of course, that's a little bit more sort of future focused towards people coming to the brand now and making it easier for them. In terms of the power of the names, I think the Speed Twin name is very powerful. It's got an incredible history in terms of, that was the original twin, 1939, first sort of world's successful production twin. And I think, again, when we talk to people about what they like about the history of the bike or the brand and that engine that derives Bonneville twin engine goes all the way back to that original Speed Twin, we saw it as an advantage to help connect up the dots a little bit for people. So hopefully current owners, it won't make them feel any less of their Street Twins, but going forward, we think it makes it a bit simpler.
Absolutely. And so I guess it's just worth asking then, are there any substantial changes to, let's say, the Street Twin or the Street Scrambler in their new names, or is it purely a name change? It's
purely a name change. I mean, these bikes were updated a couple of years ago. And what we decided to do was to make the name change hand in hand with the introduction of some brighter and more sophisticated colors, which follows on from the success of the Gold Lines. The Gold Line editions that we launched at the end of last year, they went down very well. And again, people and our dealers were sort of asking, can we see even more of these, more brighter flavors, but also in some cases a little bit more sophisticatedness. So what we thought we'd do is change the names hand in hand with bringing out for the model year update, which of course is spring this year, or now it's around us now, some brighter colors.
One last question on the naming. I guess, you talked about making it simpler to understand. Is that what we're going to see across the rest of the lineup? Could bikes like the Street Triple, for example, ever become the Speed Triple 765? Or is this purely a Bonneville thing?
No, this is all about the Bonneville family, the modern classics, in terms of making things a bit simpler. That's what we're focused on.
Now that all makes perfect sense to me, and I'll draw your attention specifically to this bit where Miles said about the future.
And of course, that's a little bit more sort of future focused towards people coming to the brand now and making it easier for them.
You see, we know a mini Triumph Scrambler is coming. I personally spotted the test mule while it was out doing some miles in the UK. So a Scrambler 400 or 500 would fit into this new naming convention quite nicely, as would a Speed Twin 500 Roadster. It all makes sense now, doesn't it? Now, before we get onto the color updates, a quick thank you to Speedo Angels for sponsoring the channel. They make these awesome Speedo protectors that cost just a few quid, and they could save you hundreds. Take the Street Twin, or Speed Twin 900, should I say. If you scratched or damaged the Speedo while you were cleaning it or working on it, you'd have to cough up 500 or 600 quid for a new one, because you can't just buy the little lens on the front, you have to buy the whole Speedo assembly. Speedo Angels sell their protectors for just over a tenner, and there's a link in the description along with a generous voucher code for my viewers. So once again, a massive thanks to Speedo Angels for their support. Now, there are loads of new color options across the Bonneville lineup, following on from the Roadsters and Tigers that got updated a few weeks ago. And some of them are quite bold, especially considering Triumph's typically conservative color choices. We've got the new Speed Twin in Baja Orange. We've seen the Speed Triple, the Trident, the Tiger 850 Sport, which leads me to ask, have you got a good deal on orange paint at the moment?
I think it's probably worth noting in the modern classics that it's the Baja Orange is coming with the Speed Twin 1200, which of course is a, you could call that really the kind of the modern classic super naked. So I think that vibe really suits that bike. I've seen it in the flesh, and it's a lovely colour. Across the rest of the Bonneville range, there are some lovely brighter colours. We've got a Scrambler 1200 and a great lively red, which is new, and also the Street Scrambler comes in a brighter red now with a twin stripe graphic over it, which is really attractive. But no, the Baja Orange is only on the Speed Twin 12.
It's I was maybe just pulling your leg a bit, because I know it goes quite a long way back with Triumph, so I understand why it's being deployed. It's a kind of signature thing. I wondered if you could tell us about kind of where it comes from in the Triumph lineup.
Well, the orange, I think if you're a Triumph, a long-standing Triumph fan, and maybe you can go back with the brand into the 90s when the Hinckley era began. Quite quickly, Triumph Hinckley introduced some really quite bright colours through the 1990s, late 1990s into the 2000s, with a roulette green and this really lively orange. And this orange, of course, is a little bit of a homage to that. That said, of course, all of the colours that we would put on our bikes come off the back of lots of conversations and focus groups and discussions with dealers over what will sell. And of course, if you follow that 100%, all your bikes are black, because really sales data will show that that there are a large amount of customers who will go with some of those darker colours, particularly with certain types of bikes, myself being one of them. All of my Triumphs have been black, but there is room and there is a demand for these brighter and more sophisticated colours. And of course, that's why we tried out with the Gold Line editions at the back end of last year. We tried some of these to see how they would go, because when you really talk to people about what they'll buy, sometimes people err on the side a little bit more sort of bit more reserved, and those have sold very well. So of course that's led us to take the decision to start introducing more and see how they go. Interestingly, in the Modern Classics family, the updates, there are also some colours that are not about bright and lively. They're actually about a bit more rich and sophisticated based on the story of those bikes. So with the Thruxton RS, we've got a competition green, and again, that's a reflection of people wanting a little bit more of that classic Thruxton flavour. So it's a bit of a range of different ideas in the colours, but effectively wanting to just bring a little bit more richness to.
Now, I really like where they've gone with the new colour schemes. The more modern Baja Orange certainly suits the Speed Twin, but I think it's those heritage paint jobs that look the best. The T100, for example, looks absolutely stunning, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they sell a shed load of those this year in that colour. But as always, I'd love to know what you think of them down in the comments below. Which are your favourites? And which do you not like so much? And if you fancy a Bonneville but you're not quite sure which one to buy, then fortunately I've got a full rundown of the current lineup shot at the Triumph factory. It should help you answer that exact question, and you can watch it by clicking here. Enjoy.